Integer notes. What are integers? Integers are whole numbers. And if some of you are asking what are whole numbers, remember that's 0, 1, 2, 3, going on and on forever. And they're opposites. So that means now we're including the negatives or the opposites of the positive numbers. Remember, 0 doesn't have an opposite. Okay. Here's our number line. 0 is in the middle of our number line. We have the positives on the right-hand side. We have the negatives on the left-hand side. Now, if I was to add, that means to move the numbers to the, we would move to the right on a number line. So, if I have negative 3 plus 8, so I start at negative 3 and I go this direction 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That would get me 5. Now, if I was to do that with these down here, okay, we're going to be going to the right, so I don't have to start with negative numbers on my number line here. I do need to start at 1, and I need to go to the right 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That would get me to 9. Now this next one, it tells me to start at negative 2, so I really do need to start on the negatives. So I'm going to start at negative 2. I'm going to be going to the right, so that's towards the positive numbers. So I'm going to start at negative 2. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Ooh, except for I only wanted 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that gets me to 4. Over here, I have negative 11. So I'm going to be starting at negative 11, negative 10, negative 9, negative 8. I don't need to say all of them. Okay, so if I start at negative 11 and I go in the positive direction 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That gets me to negative 2. And last but certainly not least, if I start at negative 7, hopefully you can tell what's happening on this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It gets me to 0. Now, when I've done this in the past, when I teach it without the number line, I do teach it a little differently than some people. I actually teach it as, if I have one positive, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 positives, how many positives do I have? I have 9. If I have 2 negatives, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 positives, these right here cancel out. What am I left with? 4 positives. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm left with 2 negatives. And last but not least, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They all cancel out, so you've got 0. Okay. Now, to subtract, on the other hand, to subtract, that means to move to the left on the number line. So, another name for subtraction is or negative is opposite. So you're going the opposite direction. So I start at -1 and I go opposite of where I'd just gone. I go back 1, 2, 3, and I end up at -4. If you do it the way that I do it, I have 1 negative, I have 3 more negatives. How many negatives do I have? I have 4 negatives. Okay, so let's do, we're starting at 9. We're going to be going to the left, so I need to go down. I know my spacing is really bad on this one. Sorry about that. Starting at 9, and I go 1, 2, 3, 4. Where do I end up? I end up at 5. On this one, I start at 4. And I go to the left 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I end up at -2. On this one, I start at -2 and I'm going to the left. Okay, so I start at -2. I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That gets me to -7. So if I start at -3, -4, 5, -6, 7, -8. I start at -3, I go 1, 2, 3, gets me -6. Now, if you wanted to do it the way that I do it, that's fine. You don't have to. But if you wanted to, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So these right here cancel out. So I have 5 positives left. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right here, those cancel out. I have 2 negatives left. Over here, I have 2 negatives and 5 negatives. So I have a total of 7 negatives. Here I have 3 negatives and 3 more negatives, which is -6. Okay, now we have to talk about this for a second. Anytime that you have 2 negatives together, this right here is saying take the opposite of whatever's here. So the opposite of a negative is a positive. So this turns into 4 plus 2 instead of 4 minus a -2. So, boys and girls, this turns into a plus sign. So I would have 4 plus 2, which is 6. This would be -12 plus 3 would get us -9. -9 plus 7 would get us -2. 0 plus 10 would get us 10. I just realized I did the right hand side instead of the left hand side. So I want you guys to do these right here. This would get us -4, -8, 8, and 5. Okay, multiplication, rules for multiplying and dividing integers. If you have 2 positives, you make a positive. If you have 2 negatives, you make a positive. If you have a positive and a negative, then you make a negative. If the signs are the same, then you get a positive. If the signs are different, you get a negative. And then you just multiply. Okay? So the signs are the same here. The signs are the same, so it comes out to positive. So then you would get 27. The signs are opposite, so you would get negative. So you would get a negative 72. The signs are the same, so you'd get a positive 28. The signs are opposite, so you would get a negative and 22. Signs are opposite, so you get a negative 45. Okay, so I want you to do these. Signs are the same, so 44. Signs are different, so it's negative 60. Signs are the same, so positive 48. Signs are the same, so positive 24. Signs are different, so negative 32. Now, down here, we're doing the same thing, except for we're doing division instead of multiplication. Signs are the same, so that's positive, and it would be 9. The signs are the same, so it would be positive, it would be 3. The signs are the same, so it would be positive, and you would get 9. Signs are different, so the answer is negative, and it would be negative 1. Signs are opposite, so the answer is negative, and it would be negative 6. Okay, so you are going to do these. Okay, this would be positive, it's 2. This would be negative, so negative 10. This would be negative, negative 7. Positive, and that would be 7. It would be negative, and we would have a negative 12.